I have a topic and it does not start with A and it does not end with I. It's a new feature coming to HTML and also JavaScript. It's called declarative partial updates, and I'm gonna jump straight into the demo. Let's go to the demo 1, and this will give you an idea of this new feature. Reload the page, and then it says here streamed first, shown immediately, no JavaScript on this page, and this gets injected later. One more time, waiting for the rest of the response to stream in, and this appears later on. Okay, one more time, and now please take a look at the favicon. It's loading until all the content shows up. So now I'm gonna right click and inspect, go to the network tab, and one more time reload. Take a look at this, DPU basic. Ooh, one more time, take a look at this. We have a response, it's not complete yet, and 2.5 seconds later or something like that, get the rest of the HTML. And what is going on? What is this? Whoa. So yeah, so what's going on here? Let's take a look at the HTML. We have the HTML, the head, the styles, the body, h1, p, the main element, okay, and then what? We have a less than question mark marker name equals content, and then later on we have a template for content. These two match, and paragraph and script. And let me show you that one more time. So the marker is here, and then only when the template arrives, which gets streamed later, what happens is that because this content matches the name here, the browser will automatically, with zero JavaScript, it will just take the content of the template, and it will inject it in place of the marker. So yeah, if you don't know the template element lets you put HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and it will not be executed until you put it in the browser. If you've used web components, you might already know about it. And here it's being used in a really cool way, but I'm sure you have a lot of questions like, what is this syntax? So this syntax is kind of weird. It comes from the XML days. It's called processing instruction, a PI, and to be honest, I'll not be able to explain it properly. I don't have such a deep knowledge of how browsers work or the specification, but it used to be something in XML, and I think it's not being used in HTML. And when the parser reads it, it enters the bogus comment state. So I can show you that on browsers that don't support it. If you go to Firefox, yeah, so if you go to Firefox and take a look at the main, then it gets transformed to a comment, and it's not a fallback, but it just nothing happens. This declarative partial update, which is probably an umbrella of multiple APIs, makes use of that to activate the special syntax, which allows you to stream content later. So streaming here is a very important thing. And before we look at some other demos, I'm going to show you the server code. So we import the set timeout from node timers promises. We rename it as sleep. And this is the response here. We start by writing the head response as 200, the content type, okay. And we write the app shell and the marker. And this is the HTML you see with the styles all up to the paragraph, waiting for the rest of the response to stream in. And you see the marker here. Then we simulate server processing times by sleeping for 3 seconds. And then we return the template for the content, and we close the body and the HTML. So this is pretending that the server is doing some calculations, fetching some rows, maybe talking some APIs, and only then we have the template for the content. And then we end the response. Now, let's take a look at the second demo, the out of order streaming. And this actually is really exciting if you like web performance. I will show you this page. Here we have deals, categories, brands. And imagine that this is really a mega menu with like 500 lines of HTML. Sometimes that's the case. And the menu has to be on the top, which means in the HTML it has to be at the top. It's a bit sad for your performance because probably this is your LCP, and the LCP will suffer because you have to ship so much HTML. And I think that blocks the HTML parser. And you might say, yeah, I will just put it at the end of the HTML page. That is not a good idea for accessibility. It depends, but in general, if you expect it to be at the top and you have skip to content, it will kind of be, you will change your tab order, so it's not necessarily the proper fix. So let me show you how this page works. I'm gonna reload again, and take a look. I have a loading, and these arrive only later on. One more time and take a look at the favicon, loading, and they only arrive later on. So let's open DevTools and see what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna reload the page and go here, and I'm gonna scroll down and take a look. We have, okay, one more time, reload. The response is not done yet, and later we get 3 templates. Template for submenu deals, submenu categories, submenu brands. And here, instead of question mark marker, we have question mark start, question mark end, because this lets us show a fallback element or elements. So we show a loading message. Okay, so we show 3 loadings because we have 3 different zones, or like this is like boundaries, kind of how you do it with React, suspense boundaries. But this is just native in the browser with 0 JavaScript. It's really cool. And this allows you to stream all the massive menu at the end of the response. So one more time, let's take a look at the code. We start by returning the HTML, which has 3 start and end, submenu deals, submenu categories. Maybe you could have put it all in one, but then you will not be able to have 3 different... No, actually, it would have been also possible to put it all in one, and then you would repeat the nav trigger 3 times, which is also okay. And we sleep 3 seconds to simulate a slow response. But even if it's not slow, like even without the sleep, this has benefits of streaming it later, because the LCP just gets noticed by the parser or rendered by the parser very quickly. And I really like that for web performance. Of course, this is a small demo simulating a big page. It's not really a big page, so you will not see the difference here. But imagine if you have such a big page, or maybe even a sidebar, a language translator, and all of these things, you can just load them at the end, and that makes your life, and that makes your website much faster. On to the next one. Here we get really into experimentation zone. I've been experimenting with this for just 2 weeks, so this is really new. Check the pinned comments. Maybe there are some corrections later on that I'm gonna post. But take a look, reload, loading purchasing options, and we have here plus, minus, add to cart. Okay, and what's interesting here, take a look, reload again is just one element, and we have the start and end, loading purchase options, but here we have some kind of component. I'm gonna switch directly to the editor component, and this is it over here. Take a look, it's a template for the buy box. The buy box is here, and I have a style with add scope. And add scope, you can provide some details over here, like a class or from to scope certain elements. But if you don't provide anything, I think it's called bare scope, then it's going to be scoped to the closest parent. In this case, the div cart component, which you can actually drop. You can also just leave it without it. And then once it's going to be inserted, it's going to be scoped to that element. But what's pretty cool here is that this CSS is only going to be scoped to this element natively from the browser, And then I have a script type module, and they have their own variable scopes, but not their own HTML scopes. So I don't have to worry that the variable root is defined somewhere else or the unit price, because it's just a script type module. And I can leave all the JavaScript for this component in this file. But just a fair warning here, this is not Shadow DOM. It's not really encapsulated the way you have it with Shadow DOM. I personally use Shadow DOM a lot because I use a lit element to build my courses, Learn JavaScript.online, for example. Check it out if you haven't seen it before. And it works really well for me, but I've seen from the community that people kind of really were fighting with Shadow DOM. They didn't like that, first of all, the styles were too scoped. Like here, I can escape the scoping by just writing styles here, and then I can just target the body. It works. But with web components, it's not really doable, or it's not very easy, and you have to hack around it. And the same thing for JavaScript. So I feel like this is kind of a midway. This is how you do it more or less in Astro. This is kind of how you do it maybe in Vue also. So I think this pattern is pretty interesting. It's really still at its infancy, and it's not necessarily meant to be used everywhere. It has its use cases, but I think many people would really benefit from this, or they would kind of like to write their components like this. Depending on when you see this video, you might need to be using Chrome Canary. You might need to enable some flags. Also check the pinned comments because some things might have changed. I might have added some updates or corrections. At the moment, I'm on something like Chrome 149, and you need to be using Chrome 148 with the enable experimental web platform features flag enabled. So you can go to Chrome //flags and look for the enable experimental web platform features, enable it. So otherwise these features will not work because they're pretty new. And I have one more demo for you. I've also been experimenting with this. I'm really excited about this one, and it's called server aware declarative partial updates. And I think this is really cool. I think there's a lot of experimentation that can happen here. A lot of frameworks might come to life because of this. Let me show you. We have a mini site here, or just a website, with 3 pages: home, products, about. But let's take a look at something. I will reload the page. Shell loaded at 11:22:20 seconds. If I go to another page, it's /product. The shell doesn't re-update. Same with the about. And it says here, okay, let's reload one more time. Now I'm on the about page. So the shell updated because I reloaded the entire page. Delivered as full document. Rendered by the server. Okay, and the time matches the shell. Now let me go to the products. The shell didn't update, and here it says delivered as patch only. So let's take a look. This is super exciting. Open DevTools to see the difference, because the server plays a big role here. Reload the page, and we have here the entire HTML. We do have the marker, like in the first demo. And here we have the template for this particular page, which is the landing page. And then we have just the script that wires the whole thing down. So this is the new API that we use here is stream append HTML on safe. And what's interesting is, let's take a look. If I go to the products page, you don't really need to ship the entire thing again. You don't really want to ship the shell, the body, the footer. You only need to ship the template. And that doesn't seem new, but look where the server is aware. If I reload the page, the server knows that this is a navigation, so it's gonna give you back the entire shell with the page, but this time it's gonna be the products page. But if I now go to the home page, we don't need to have the shell, even though it's a home page. We only need the template for the page. How cool is that? So this was also, of course, possible before, but there was a lot of hacks around. You needed a lot of JavaScript, but now there's like a streaming API. So it was possible with Fetch, but now you can really just stream HTML, and streaming makes a really big difference. You know that from React, but now we're streaming directly from the server into HTML with just a couple of lines of JavaScript without having to load like a big library. It's not necessarily one-to-one with React, but this is just, if you're familiar with Suspense, this is kind of similar to it, I think. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. Let me show you the demo for the code for it. These are the views. This is the index, assuming like the slash. This is the products page, and this is the about page, and this is the code that we need to return, from every page. And this is where we return the template, which is going to replace the question mark marker here. Marker. So this is the marker for the page, and we replace it with a template for page. And if you notice here, I have also question mark start name equals page. So this is a way to take a look. I'm going to reload the page again. So once you consume the marker, it's actually gone. And if you want to have a marker for the future to be used another time, you want to have another marker. But in this case, we want to have a start and an end because we want to have the content. And the content here are home, paragraph, paragraph. And if I go to products, then the content will change. It's going to be products, ULL, ULLI. But you want to have a start and end again, like a marker for the future, for the other route, which could be about, for example. So that's why every time you return a template, you also wrap it with a start and end. And now let me show you the server code for this. Here, the handler. Is it a patch? Do we only want to send just the template, or do you want to send a full page reload? How do we know that? we check if the mode is not navigate. So then we need to patch it. So what is the mode? The mode here is checking for the request header sec fetch mode, and this is going to be either navigate, or you can see it here, either navigate when I reload the page, or course. So when it's course, then the browser is requesting it. It's a fetch request happening in the page, but when you reload the page, then it's navigate. So based on that, we can know if we want to patch the responsive, and if we want to patch the response, we make a page template. Otherwise, we want to write the full document, and then we call full document over here. Thanks, Google, for letting me use your recording studio again. That's really the beginning of my experimentations. So make sure to subscribe to check out how the future of this API, and let me know if you have questions or feedback, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao. We don't need one at the end?
I don't know. I need someone to tell me, because I think it's my second
time. So you can just...
And
yeah, that's
cut
to synchronize the video and the audio.
Oh, okay. So that's fine that we we start with this and then we finish. Okay, fine.
Let me show you the code. No.
See you in 20 minutes.
21.
Have fun.
Ciao. I'll do another audio sync. I still have these stickers from yesterday. Okay. Once the marker is replaced, it's gonna be replaced, I think. I need to double check that.